Hello everyone, welcome to the Watch Poplars. Today I'm going to be pruning my alder. This is one of my first trees, and I started it from seed in March 2023. There are alders by a creek near my house, and it has developed insanely well over these few years. And now there are a lot of other things sprouting in here. I don't know if I want to keep them. I think I shouldn't, because there's plenty of snapdragons growing in other places, and that's what this is. Plus they're not native. Then there's this mimosa, and I don't need it. I'll just cut it back all the way. Just a stick. It has pretty leaves. But I'll just start pruning. So I'm gonna prune back. And I'm pruning this back so that maybe I'll decide to put ornaments on it. I don't know. But it is that time, and this is a tree that grows it has a central leader and then branches coming off the side of it like a pine. So that's how I plan to style this. Like a pine tree. And it will look better than a maple styled like a pine, because alders actually grow kind of like a pine tree. Which is interesting. It's one of the very few broadleaf deciduous trees I know that do that. Now I'm gonna prune tip off here and leaving just 2 leaves on the shoot. I might go further, but I don't know. I'll decide, and maybe I should start from the top. I spent a lot of time trying to position the camera. Now, later this winter, I am actually planning on doing a very dramatic cut, and it's possibly going to be right here, because I'm starting to realize that a mature alder does not have a conical shape. They don't have this vertical trunk and then kind of like that. Well, they do follow that pattern. They get multi-trunks coming up and then the branches. So that is what is happening with this branch here and some of the other branches surrounding that. So like maybe in January I'll cut it back to here, that area there, and there's a whole whirl of buds right here from an inward pointing branch that I cut out, and they look very healthy. So that's what I'm gonna prune to later this winter. So I'm just gonna prune the shoots back. Now, I just pruned into the older wood, I think, which is nice. Something just fell. Was it a leaf? Or what? I was shaking crepe myrtle trees on my walk home, and maybe I would be surprised if there was still a leaf on my clothes. I prune the apex. Now I'm keeping in mind this kind of rounded conical shape. I mean, at the development that it is at right now, it's looking more like I guess a mature alder, but maybe on the younger side. But maybe I want to go for kind of like, in proportion to a 60-year-old human, this would be like a 100-year-old alder. Yeah, that survived floods, that survived I don't know. Yeah, floods. because that's usually where they grow there in riverbeds. Now there's this. It's coming off to that direction. Oh, I thought they just landed on my elbow. It's too. Okay, so this. What year is this? This. I think this is this year's growth. This is some of the areas that the leaves fell off after I returned from Colorado, and then this is the growth that came in after. So yeah. And yeah. There's the shoot over here. Now it's starting to develop some nice pads. Alders get very defined pads naturally, because they grow like a pine tree. And that's how I'm going to style this. I'm very excited to see how this goes. Because this is the most developed bonsai I have. I have many great memories with it. Now, if my parents interrupt my video, it's because I am a time crunch, you know. We're at that season where there's a time crunch. Oh, I thought that was the door. I thought that was the kitchen door. It's the drainageless pot or tray. I had my willow in it last year. Or was it this year? I don't know. What's this? I don't want to defoliate because I haven't really seen in 2 years I haven't actually seen what fall colors it gets, I think. I don't know. They don't really get fall colors, and you have to wait a while because they get such late fall colors. There's a branch right here. I'm going to, backdrop. I thought the wall behind me was going to do that. There's, maybe I could prune to this inward pointing bud because I'm going to remove the top of the tree anyway. Like that. I'll prune to this outward facing bud here. And I can actually reduce this one back to here. This outward facing pointing bud there. I hope it doesn't grow. Because, lately we have gotten an interesting kind of weather. So a weather that I really like. If it's not hailing, raining, or snowing here, it's got to be it's got to be, the temperature difference has got to be very small. And the high of the daily high has to be below 50 degrees. It has to be as cold as it wants to get. And it's because there's air in Central Valley. It's just sitting there. It's pooling. It is flowing from the Sierras, from the Sierra snowpack down into the ravines and emptying out into Central Valley. And so for the past few days, actually past few weeks, there has been a inland sea of cold air just sitting there. And that's why there's been such a little temperature difference despite it not raining or being wet. Because wetness and causes humidity, which causes very small temperature differences. Now, these branches over here stick up a lot. This back branch, it is, well, we'll start with the front. There's an outward facing shoot right here, and I'm pruning behind, just halfway between the nodes, and leaving a stub, because that stub is gonna die back, but if I prune it completely flush with like the bud, it's gonna still die back, and it's going to probably die back past the bud, because it doesn't. I mean, unless the shoot has opposite leaves, like that, where they actually form like an area where the shoot can't die back past. Yeah, I'm not really sure on the whorled or spiral form leaf arrangements, so I'm just gonna be careful about that. Now there's a completely new shoot here, and you can see that it grew straight from the trunk, and it is growing in an area that already has a branch, and I'll show you that. Here, there's already a branch. I'll just prune this. So, but this branch is not going radially, so I have to prune it way back. So, wait, that wasn't the shoot. It's this one. Okay, so maybe you can see now that there's two branches coming from this one spot right here, and that's a problem because that's an area that's going to swell a lot, and this shoot is not going radially from the trunk. It is cranked to the right, and actually I pruned it before. This is a shoot from, I pruned it like here, but I want to remove it completely. It was a jumping spider. So I have no choice but to prune it because that place, it's going to become a problem in the future. There's a very few plants or trees that can that will let you have multiple branches coming from one spot without swelling in that area, because it draws the sap outward. Like the sap has to funnel into the branches, and in doing so, it gradually pulls the area outward. I don't know how to explain it. I think I could reduce this branch. This branch here, I'll prune the upper part of it because there is a relatively outward branch growing here. And I'll also prune that branch back to here, and I'll reduce it one more node after the year ends, because the bud I pruned to is, it's not going outward, but there's this bud here that is. This upward forming shoot, I can prune that back at least to here. This is one of the best branches. Oh wait, it's multiple branches. it's getting in the way of this. It's getting in the way of this branch here, which is a bad thing in bonsai. So I would like to reduce it, and there is a node going that way. There, and hopefully they'll divert it away from this branch, which is probably one of the best branches on this tree. As far as like pad development, there is actually an upward trunk starting to form. It's right here, and this will be one of the second leaders coming off of the trunk. But it won't form the apex. I'm probably going to get an explosion of growth around the center, vertical shoots, and they might actually grow quite a lot and form sub-branching. And I'll probably let them grow like pretty tall. Hopefully that happens, and hopefully, this cord stops falling off of my shoulders. So here, there's a nice outward facing shoot right here. Okay, that leaf was really easy to fall off. And now I'm getting choked. I was too lazy to take it off, I don't know why, but it's fine. Okay, the leader of this branch here it's starting to get distracted. It's going that way. And there's a nice branch pointing outward from the trunk. And I prune that too. I'm a bit too much on this side, but there's a perfect bud on that side. There's a little straight section. I don't know if there. I see a bud. There's a bud right here. It's alive. It's not. It's a good thing it wasn't like shaved off, because I've done that on this tree before, such as right here. I accidentally rubbed off a bud that could have been a really nice branch by now, but it's okay. I'm gonna let the leaves sit on the soil because it's good. I can prune this shoot. There's a little shoot right here. It's getting dark, but I have light. There's an outward facing leaf right here. And I think that's it. It looks a bit weird at this angle, but because of that missing bud, I don't know if it could. I don't know if it's possible for it to grow a new one, but because yeah, I don't know. Someday, you know, as the tree matures, sometimes buds just appear, like nodes just appear randomly along the trunk, and they. It can be unexpected. I feel like, no, this. So I'm gonna remove, now that you can see more the simplified structure, that you could see, it's I mean, in bonsai, I mean, compared to like the very far developed bonsai, this is nowhere as close to how big it is. But size does not matter in bonsai, and it actually, well, there are large bonsai in like Vietnam, and I mean intentionally, but I guess it means that it has to be small, but it also has to be big enough to accommodate the size of the leaves. And so I think this would count as a larger leaf bonsai, because I mean the leaves, these are actually the biggest leaf is nowhere as close to how big they get in nature. And when I started this from a seed, it grew 2 feet in a big fat pot. And because it was so strong, it grew these huge leaves that were like that big. And it was so vigorous. It was growing until early November, and the last leaf fell off in probably January 10th, 2024, based on a picture that I have in my camera roll. But I'm very happy with how it is looking, and it's developing very quickly. It already looks like a tree, and it's 3 years old. But it'll only get better from here. Oh. Is there any more? Okay, so there is one more problem. There is one more branch that I should remove. And it is it's right here. And it's growing way too close to the trunk, and I think if I leave it on, it's gonna end up blending in at the trunk, at the base of the branch. So if you can see, now I think that's good. I can see, in the future, I can see this branch being removed, because it is also quite close to the trunk, but that would be quite far in the future. I'll just clean up that stub, because I don't want any branches growing in there ever again. It's not a branch I'm going to remove, this main one. I realized I didn't actually prune this branch. So I'll just prune it like that. And I think that concludes the pruning. There's a downward bud right here. You have to look at the tree very, very closely when doing bonsai. There's another problem area here. So I have this upward section here. It's coming off of a branch here. And I don't know, I mean, at the beginning of this year, I potted it up, making it leaning like that. However, I meant to make that lean be noticeable from this angle. It wasn't until I finished potting it up completely that I realized I was 90 degrees off. So the lean is supposed to be visible, and this is the front, because you could see the trunk clearly. There are no eye poker branches. Well, there's one, and I think I could fix that. Or if there is a better front visible here, maybe, I don't know. I think this is a better front right here, because you can see the trunk very nicely, but it is not completely exposed, that it looks kind of like one-sided. But I think I'm done with the pruning, and when it gets closer to Christmas, I will actually think of putting ornaments on it, and I'm very excited for, oh, someone's cooking something very nice. So yeah, and really quickly before I go, I showed you those pots, but I just really love this one. I really like these naturally colored pots. I mean, this is the natural color of it. It was glazed, but it has a very organic color to it. And I thought that would look awesome with my Hinoki cypress. Because with the old foliage turns like a reddish brown, and it perfectly matches this pot. So, and it's also, this pot is an awesome size. So I think in the spring, did I repot this year? I think I did, but I think I'll just do a slit pot, rake away some of the soil and make it fit in here. Because that would be awesome. So yeah. I think for this alder, I might put it in, I think it is ready for a bonsai pot, because it is developed enough that it is starting to have some style. And I think I'm going to disassemble my plum forest, as it is not native, and I have lots more opportunities to have a plum bonsai up in Oregon, where there's actually more of them. And it's a bit small. It's a bit smaller than this container, but I don't want this to grow a whole lot anymore. Because otherwise I don't want to prune it like too many times per year, because I want to develop it slowly. It would be nice if I could just have a single flush per year, and kind of enhance my patience. And I think the pot would look great because it matches the twigs and the buds. It's a brown pot. Yeah, so before I get distracted and try showing you other things, I am going to say goodbye and say farewell here among the watch poplars.